Hey! I'm an actor.
Hey, I'm an actor too.
We should talk about our feelings and when we're feeling blue, 'cause this industry is hard and the road is long ahead. In this corner of the internet, let's sit and chat instead.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of A Life on the Stage. It's great to be back, isn't it, Hamish?
Yes, it's so exciting.
And we've got an awesome guest here today, don't we?
Oh, who do we have?
Well, we've got the one and only Stephen Mahy with us today. Thanks for coming on the show, Stephen. We really do appreciate it.
Sure.
And we were just wondering, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor and an artist? Like, where did your journey begin?
I mean, that's such a cliche question in the sense of when did it begin? But look, I think it's just always been in my blood, in my family. I remember singing for the first time in year 6. My voice hadn't broken and I was singing a Christmas carol. And so my voice was really, really high and I saw people laughing at me. And it really was like, oh, I was doing this at home and I was so passionate about it, but it also just made this real conflict of what I loved and how embarrassing it could be that people kind of laugh at you. So it was always there, but like I think this is I danced at school, I was in ballroom classes, and then this singing that I did, but my voice was so high that they were like, you sing like a girl. And you know, as a young person, I think I was 12, I was very like, it was a bit of a setback, but I sort of always wanted to do it. My older sister was in amateur theatre shows, and she's 5 years older than me. So when I turned 13, I was able to join this company called Forestry Theatre Company. And I think that's where it kind of started, like to really go, oh, we did 2 shows a year, and I did it for about 7 years. So
yeah.
Do you remember any of the shows that you did? My first show was Big River, and we did Grand Hotel, Guys and Dolls, Jesus Christ Superstar, Joseph, The Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Annie, Black Rock, Running Under the Sprinkler, there are a few that just come to mind.
Yeah. And you trained with WAAPA,
Yeah.
which is in Western Australia.
Yeah.
What memories do you have of training there, and also like, what's the biggest lesson that you learned about yourself when you were studying there?
What did I learn about myself? I got swept up in, like, I was going to this amazing school and I was dancing, singing and acting all day, but I didn't sort of take in a lot of the theory side, which I don't regret, but there was so many, the resources that were there in the library or the teachers, and I remember like going away after a few years going, oh my gosh, why didn't I like photocopy every single play, or why didn't I get someone to record that piece of music? But it was such an incredible experience to study because I was living in Sydney. I'd left school about 3 years after I'd left school, and I needed to break out of my comfort zone. And so by moving into another state is huge. People are like, why'd you go to Perth? It had such a great name, and I needed the discipline to be doing that. Jazz, tap, ballet, singing classes, acting classes. Like I didn't really have a singing lesson before I went. I had a couple. I just always sang, so I kind of just did it. And so it was really interesting going there and having a weekly singing lesson and having those classes to go through. It taught me how to be a great auditioner. I take away that like when I came out, you know, my first audition for Miss Saigon, it's like, can you do a double turn? Yes, because I've been doing them week in, week out. Can I sing the material? Yes, because I've been just singing, and I think having that, I guess the motivation to practice all the time is really important. And I think for sometimes when I was in a show, I didn't practice as much because I was just doing a show, but now that I'm not in a show at the moment, it's like I've got to remember what was I doing that made me show fit. I was discussing with my singing teacher yesterday, Chris Nolan, how in Australia there's just so many, there's not enough opportunity that happens regularly, so we don't audition every week. Like it just doesn't happen. And if you are, great, but for big major musicals there's not auditions every week, and so we're not match fit unless we're training. But then, you know, I've got a child, I've got a job, I've got a family, I've got time. So where do I fit in my dance classes? Where do I fit in the singing? And so, if anything, it taught me that like I really need to keep up those skills all the time, and figure out the balance of it all as well.
Yeah. So for those who are studying at WAAPA right now or looking to try and study at WAAPA, would that be the sort of advice that you would give to them, or what kind of advice would you give to them?
Advice that I give to people, the people that want to go to an institution, great. It's not the be all and end all. It's a place to go, and it is a place to hone your skills. And so WAAPA, yes, is great. There's so many schools around Australia now that you have to, I think you have to keep exploring your craft, exploring who you are as a person, exploring the things that you're not so good at. Like we focus on, I'm a good singer, so I'm just going to sing. But if you want to get into musicals, these days there are people out there that can do all three, possibly four things, because they just do it and they enjoy it better than other people. At WAAPA there was a certain standard, and I remember going, wow, like the level 3 jazz people were amazing. They were much better than I was. I wasn't a dancer when I went in there. Then I came into the industry, and it is another level. It really is like the benchmark of what WAAPA has. I'm not saying that people don't come out of there being amazing performers, but just the level of where people are in the industry is next level. And you can see it when you see shows. You're like, wow, dancers can dance. They go hard, but they've been dancing their whole life. That's why they're at that standard. But it's not to say you can't achieve that and get to that level. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, I would practice. Just go and do classes. Any open classes that happen, if you see a choreographer putting something on, go and do it. In Melbourne, like Mahy does open jazz classes, and there's some people like, oh my God, I don't know how to do that class, it's overwhelming. Just go and do it. Because you might be in a room full of all different like levels, ages, shapes, sizes, and it's wonderful because you get swept up in that moment. And you don't have to be the best. Like you don't have to be the best to get into a show. You don't have to be the best singer, actor, or dancer. I guarantee there are people in there that don't have all three, but you have your personal gift that you're giving, and that's what they're looking for. I mean, I'm just in the industry just as much as you are, acting like I walk into an audition room and I'm hoping they want me, but you just have to put your best foot forward.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And your first show that you did professionally was Miss Saigon.
Yeah.
And you were understudy, I believe, for Chris and John.
Yeah.
What's it like being an understudy? Because I think for us, I don't think they get appreciated enough for what they do.
Sure.
Because it is a big responsibility what they do, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're called in at the very last minute.
Yes.
So could you tell us what's it like to be an understudy, and just give a shout out to all the understudies out there pretty much.
Absolutely. Like understudies and swings are they are used all the time. Someone that signs up to be a swing or an understudy, they do take on a lot because they're rehearsing on the day, during the days when other people aren't. So like it's predominantly a Tuesday or Thursday, depending on the schedules of the show, plus they're doing that 8 shows a week. It's a skill, like you really have to know your material. You have to just be fit and healthy and looking after yourself. I was very lucky in that I was cast, as you said, like as an understudy in my first show. And I just remember, I knew the show back to front anyway, so it was iconic for me, so I just kept it that way. But I loved knowing the material before I went into day one of rehearsal, or just thereabouts. Like I knew what the lyrics were, and then I had rehearsal. Then I think I had like half a rehearsal or half a day's rehearsal during the rehearsal process, and then during previews here, I went on in the second week of previews. So I got a call on a Monday night saying, hi, you're going on tomorrow night. I want you to come in at 10 a.m. in the morning, and we're just going to go through the show.
Yeah.
And so the director, the choreographer, the whole team were there, and they're like, okay, what do you know? And I was like, the first 5 minutes, like as in the blocking.
Yeah.
I knew the lyrics to Chris, but the producers took a chance on putting me up there, and they were like, have fun. And it was an incredible experience. This iconic show, but I had put in my work.
Yeah.
And that's what can be really hard, because I also had an ensemble track, which I was learning. I guess that not the easiest thing, but the best thing about Saigon was that it's all sung, so you can kind of put on the album and start singing from the beginning, and just sing through the album as you're going, and then you're hearing it during the day, and so there must be something that was happening within that. I had a couple of vocal calls, so I knew majority of the things were. It was more just like, you need to stand here and sing this, then you need to go over here. And I was, we say push with love. So someone was like, yeah, just go over this way. Yes, we're going over here. Then I've understudied as well in other shows, and I kind of love it. There's this kind of thrill about having to know what else is on, but that it's a little bit of like, oh my gosh, like PTSD, am I going on today? Like what's happening? But at the same time, very exciting. In Greece, I was Kaniki and I covered Danny. And that was kind of strange because if Danny went off, then we all just sort of shuffled up. So Sunny played Kaniki and someone else played Sunny. And like so, but the only difference between Kaniki and Danny was the white and black Bonds t-shirt. And so we were on stage with all the same people, but you're like, I don't know who you are today.
Which one of you's the real T-Bird?
Exactly.
It's Sandy going, and you are.
Yeah, that's right. And then look, I think understudying is not easier. In my mind, I've only understudied. I've never been a swing, and swings have to do everything on the left, and they also have to do everything on the right. And so as a dancer, my mind just goes, no, I can't do that. But people get called on mid-show, they get called on at the half-hour call. So if 8 o'clock show, they get called at 7:30, and they're on. You just have to do your work, and they're underpaid, undervalued, and they're probably the hardest working people in the building.
Yeah. Has there ever been times where you've been called in as an understudy at the half-hour call?
Yeah.
Was that like very scary?
I was lucky enough that I'd been on a few times, so I knew the role and it was fine. Half-hour call, I've been on halfway, like it gone on an interval or halfway through the show. I've even been, when I was in Singapore, I was playing Danny and I got sick. I remember coming through summer nights, I was like, my voice isn't here. And I was just petrified the whole time. And I think, You're the One That I Want was at the end of the show, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to hit those notes. So at interval, I came off, spoke to the music director, and I said, I've got to call it. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And then so my understudy had to go on, who was playing Kaniki and stepped up at the time. So just things happen, like we're not robots.
Yeah.
And you can one day think you're fine and you're singing, your warm-up's good, so you're like, I'll get out there. Something might have happened, like muscles changed or just the air conditioning was on or whatever, like just something happens. And for the integrity of the show, you go, you know what, I'm just going to call it.
Yeah.
I prefer to put the understudy on than me cracking notes, not feeling good, making somebody else sick, or just makes the cast awkward. We're all trained to and do the show. It's the same format. Everybody has to be in the same position. Hopefully the understudy will say the right words, and you go, cool.
Yeah. And you also did Jersey Boys as well, which you played Bob Audio in it.
Yeah.
What's it like taking on a story that's based on it is a true story?
Yeah.
And is there much pressure playing a real life person, considering they might still be with us?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I didn't feel the pressure when we were doing it. It was so intense, the rehearsal period, that I wasn't thinking, I've got to do this correctly and how Bob is. And there was such a format for the show already. The Americans came out and they're like, this is how the show works. We're going to do it like this. Just stand and deliver these lines here. But it wasn't until that I met Bob, I think it was 1 or 2 weeks into previews, and Bob came to see the show, and I'd always talked about Bob and having this, I guess, he just knows, he's got a foresight into things that already happens and he knows, and he's got this ease and comfortability about him, and you go, okay, and you don't know that until you meet him. And he's just got this beautiful presence. He's very understanding of the moment, and then goes, okay, let's get the job done, and this is what we're doing. And I just remember that clicking for me, meeting him, going, okay, I feel his presence. I understand that energy.
Yeah.
And not that you can emulate somebody's energy, but there's just a certain feeling that I had that kind of resonated with me. That I went, okay, that's where I can come from.
Yeah.
It's such an sorry to interrupt. It's such an iconic show that I think, with the music and the way that it worked, it was just a beautiful legacy to keep going. And knowing that a few of them were still alive was it was beautiful.
Absolutely. And just jumping back to when you talked about how you met Bob, did he by any chance give you any advice about the show itself, or did you reach out to anyone who was doing Jersey Boys on Broadway or West End?
I didn't actually reach out to anybody. We sat around a piano and there were certain ways that he wanted me to sing Cry For Me, one of the opening songs that Bob sings around with all the four boys for the first time hearing that sound, like they say it, like they make that sound for the first time. And it was a little bit more, I was singing very legitimately music theatre style. I'm a very legitimate music theatre boy. But it's like, just relax a bit more and just say the lyrics instead of having to try and perform them and just let them come out a bit more naturally, and they did. And it changed the way that I sang it. So, and he's such an incredible writer of songs. He's written for so many different people, not just for the Four Seasons. We got flown to Vegas and we saw the show in Vegas. So seeing it for the first time, I was blown away. Like there is a reason why the show just keeps on going and going and going. That they manipulate it so you don't get a chance to sort of speak or clap or do anything as an audience member until a very certain point, until Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry and Walk Like a Man happen. It's very much manipulated, it's fast, it's kick, and you're on the roller coaster with the performers. So I remember seeing that, and then when being on the opposite side, doing it, it's this like pace, look, we're there. Like Bob doesn't come on for the first 25 minutes, I think it is, and then he comes on, but the train is already left, and you've just got to pick up, keep going. So I kind of got swept up in that and understanding of the show and knew what I was having to do, and it was a lot of work prior to that. We had 5 weeks rehearsal, so it was a blessing. Doesn't happen a lot.
And as you were mentioning, you did Grease. With Grease, you did get to work with the late Bert Newton. What was it like getting to work with him and learn from someone who did do performing arts for quite a long time? What was it like getting to work with him?
He was great. A wonderful man on and off stage. Very funny, very. He was just there to do the job. Like, just loved it. You could see the joy that was with him. He'd have his Diet Coke in his fridge, and he'd sit there in between shows, have a little Diet Coke. And such a family man. Like, meeting Paddy as well, and I've worked with Paddy before in other shows, and so he's really lovely. And he's still kicking a leg at that age as well. Like, he really just kept going and going. I did Rocky Horror Show with him as well. He played the narrator in that. But in Grease, he was funny. Who did he play? What was the character? Vince Fontaine. Iconically played by a younger person. But he made everybody laugh and feel at ease. And he was Bert. Like,
classic Bert. And with Grease, it's one of those shows that, with the music, it just makes people feel happy in a way, and same like with Mamma Mia as well, that you've done as well. It's one of those shows where people like to stand up at the end and sing along with all the classic songs. It must be a great feeling for you and the entire cast as well to have that feeling of an audience going, we're here for the ride with you. For sure. Like, especially Mamma Mia, because at the end you've got that big mega mix and everyone get up on your feet. Like, we know why we're doing it, and it kind of helps you doing 8 shows a week when you're going, got another show to do, let's go. But you remember the audience, they've probably seen it 100 times, but it's their experience that's, people are dressing up, people are singing the lyrics with you, people know what it is. Like I said, my version was in 2016, 17, and they've already done another one since then, and because it's so popular and people love it. Grease was a special one for me, because I get to sing Grease Lightning. Everybody knows Grease Lightning. I mean, it's on every dance floor. That was fun because the car changed, and it's so iconic in the movie. You're like, yes, because Danny sings in the movie, so it was awesome that Kinnicky got to sing it. Everybody got up and loved it. And it's just a big screecher of a song.
Was it very hard to just because Grease Lightning is such an iconic Grease song that everyone knows it? Was it hard to not get too carried away with the audience and try and sing it along as if you were doing karaoke?
I must admit, I'm not a karaoke man, but I'm terrible when it comes to pop songs. But no, I think it was definitely, we're still in the context of the show, so it was nice, but it was just that recognition and the understanding of the audience. They loved it. Plus the dancers that were on stage making us all look really amazing as well was the best. So I definitely loved the ride of it. It's good.
And as we were saying, Mamma Mia as well was another big show in your catalogue of shows that you've done. What is it about ABBA's songs that, people know all the words, people, they just feel joy from it, and there's just something special about it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. I didn't realise, like, I'm not an ABBA fan. Like, it's terrible that I don't know all the lyrics to ABBA, but Sky was literally on stage for 17 minutes, and that was it. He sang Lately Love. I do know some of them, but like, I think Gimme Gimme is back on the charts, like, with some new interpretation. There's all those songs that, yeah, it's just iconic for years. There's a new version of Mamma Mia. It's like the Adone experience that I think isn't coming to Australia, which would be incredible.
Yeah.
But where they're going to put it. But yeah, people
How
just.
did we find out? It's been debated for years.
Yeah, that's right. I think the two states are probably like, we want it. No, we want it. But they're just iconic. People love them. They've been around for years. Like Four Seasons songs. Like, how many times have you heard "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" being covered by some other artist? Begging. I think there were like 3 or 4 different like versions of those songs like just coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason. They're simple hooks. People know them. It's nostalgic, and they just fall in love with that era or wherever you're from, like whatever area you're in. People have got an attachment to it. So yeah.
And when you were doing Mamma Mia, you did get to meet one of the biggest music stars of all time, Celine Dion.
Of course. I was wondering who you were going to say. I was like, what are you talking about? Celine Dion did come to see the show. And unfortunately for the lady that was playing it at the time, Nat, she was off that time, and Sarah Landy, who we just spoke about before, was on playing the lead at that time.
Yeah.
And Celine was like, what? You're the understudy, you're iconic, you're amazing, like, I can't believe you're the understudy, imagine what the lead is like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was pretty special. And after seeing like her documentary of her being sick, you kind of go, wow, like, I did meet her. And her stylist at the time.
All right.
I think, is it Pepe? He's on Broadway in Moulin Rouge at the moment.
Yeah.
So we met him as well.
Yeah. Are you one of those people, if there's like a big name in the audience, are you one of those people who like to know before or after? Because
Absolutely after. Yeah, you don't want to know. I mean, we always sort of joke about like there's a casting director in the audience and I go, oh no, Hugh Jackman's in. You don't like, which is funny. Like he's not. He's hardly ever in there. But there's this thing about like knowing, even with like friends coming to a show. I prefer to know after. Because you're not thinking, oh yeah, my friends are in, and you think about playing it for them instead of just doing the show. It's like an opening night. It's so big, it's so heightened. The audience are going off, and you're like, of course everyone's here. But I prefer to kind of just get that out of the way and then just do the show, because the show sort of sits in a different place then, like in a normal zone. But they're also so special because everybody's there for opening night and like closing night as well. It's just I'm doing this for the last time, or this is happening, and it's kind of an out of body experience instead of being in the show.
Yeah, I then also remembered that you did Beautiful, Carole King Musical. Could you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like, especially covering like Carole King as well as you also did Jersey Boys and getting that experience as well?
Yeah. So I think both those shows, Jersey Boys and Beautiful, kind of, it's like the female version of it really, and doing on Carole King's catalogue of songs. And I remember reading her biography before I did the show, and just seeing her life, like I was like, this woman has gone through everything. And you know, not even just as an artist, but personally, and family, and children, and abuse, and you think, like, and she's still going, like, you know, and like what a great artists do. So yeah, I remember seeing the audition brief for it, and I messaged the director and said, can I please come and audition for you? Johanna Allen and David Pipe was the music director. I said, I've got to come out, I've got to do this with you if I can, you know, obviously audition for it. Because there's just such meaty scenes in there, and Jerry was quite disturbed, you know, alcohol and drugs were a big influence on his life, and that kind of dopamine hit, he wanted to hit, and he wanted to hit, and wanted to hit. And it tried to find from many different areas, and when they were so young and they had a family, and it was like, I feel trapped and I've got to get out, you know, so he went back to the city and kept getting this sort of pull back and forth. And so I'm kind of glad it was a short run, because the kind of roller coaster he goes on, the first act, he's all forward, and then it's just like his demise. and that depression, and then him getting to hospital and then trying to get back again, and then the cheating happens again, and you think, there was a toll I could feel on the body.
Absolutely.
But to hear that music every night, like it's like Jersey Boys and like Beautiful, there were certain moments as the character, like Bob or Jerry, where you got to sit back and listen or watch the performance happening on stage, the person playing Frankie or the person playing Carole. And yeah, I was really lucky. I've had some great performers and people that did those roles and getting to watch them. They're the moments you go, oh yeah, I'll cherish that for a long time. I'd love to revisit them, but I'm getting too old to play high school student these days. But they're great.
Did you have any particular songs that you really liked listening to when you were in Jersey Boys or Beautiful?
It's a special moment, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, where how it's staged is that Bob's sort of up on the sort of big walkway that's elevated, and then Frankie's down here, and the whole moment he's building this song, he's like, Bob wants to hear this song, like it's a hit, you've got to play this, no one would play it, and then it's the time, and he's like, he pulls away from Frankie, and Frankie Valli gets to sing Can't Take It, and that was incredible. I was off stage, I wasn't on stage, but and feel like a natural woman, which hearing that song sung every night is iconic.
Yeah. And another show you also did was The Wedding Singer.
Yeah.
Which we both worked with the same director, Alistair Smith.
Yeah.
And he described your character as a villain. Do villains have more fun?
Like, I'm finding out that they do.
Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of villains lately, on screen as well, and it's funny being in it because you're like swept up in the character and you're doing it, and then you're like, whoa, I am not this person. But it is kind of fun to push the boundaries within yourself. And Glenn Goulier, I mean, everybody say that name and people are like, oh, what a douchebag. But interesting to find that balance of like, people are genuinely a good person, but what gets them to that place and why are they like that? Is their upbringing or who they're inspired by or what drives them? And a lot of it comes from fear and not understanding themselves and being comfortable with themselves. But absolutely, they do not necessarily get the applause at the end of the show, but they certainly get, cause those moments within the show, and that's why it's great to have a villain going against the protagonist to sort of, fuel the story and fuel a reason why things need to change, or it's the obstacle for the protagonist to kind of get through, and it's like, why are you there? And being 6'3" and quite dominant anyway, it is kind of fun to use your dominance in a playful way.
Of course.
And to even do things like that on screen is a different medium, but it's very interesting to find where you sort of sit within your own balance. Like, I'm quite emotional, so I can find my emotions, I guess, easily and kind of hold on to something, and it's not necessarily what's happened in my life, but it's something that I can kind of find that balance to kind of tip a little bit more angry or tip a little bit more sad. And then drive from that place, and so
you can still find that connection with the story and like go, I may not have gone through it, but I can still relate to it in a way.
Yes, or don't have an outlet to bring frustration out in a way that you kind of can't in life. You shouldn't in life, but you can play a character like that and use the magic and tricks of angles of a fight scene or a yelling match. You go, I'm just going to put this dialogue here, and this is how I'm going to filter this through.
Yeah. Another thing that you've done, as you mentioned, you have done screen work before. There's one show I'd like to talk to you about, which is Brumby Kids.
Yeah.
And I watched it recently.
Sure.
And it was nice to see the locations, but also it was nice to see this story being told. And I was wondering, representation, Aboriginals, and also, how important it is. And I was wondering if you could talk about, how important it is to see those kind of stories up on our screens.
Yeah, I mean, Australian content, it's just not enough of it, is there? And we don't see it across the board, and the money being put into those areas, or if they are, we're not seeing them come across in mainstream television. There are stories, and there's stories that need to be told. We sit in a very privileged position. We're three white men sitting here doing these things, and we can advocate for them and make a noise. it is about having that diversity in our casting,
Yeah.
which is important. People that are having a lived experience or having an attachment to those experiences, I think is, we're not going to put on makeup just to play a role, and we're not going to silence stories. And I've heard a lot of podcasts and a lot of interviews, and his name is absolutely gone out of my brain right now. He directed Thor, and he's from New Zealand.
Taika Waititi.
Thank you very much. Taika said, they make films about Nazi Germany, and why? Why are we making this? And so, but he said something really interesting, that if we do not talk about these things that happen, they're going to be forgotten over generations. And that's what storytelling is all about. We tell these stories whether they're good or bad. But we need to keep telling the story so that all generations understand where we've come from, what's happened, examples of dictatorship, especially like Nazi Germany. It's happening right now. Like Trump is doing the same thing. There's this, and we're seeing that. And so in Australia alone, we're so far behind in looking after our own and seeing where our stories come from. And some people voted against it, but they don't see that it is the true Australian story. They think it's still the Union Jack and Southern Cross that's where we all bleed from. And you're like, oh no, we all bleed red, but we all come from the land, but we do not appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
We're seeing it more. There's diversity in casting, yes. Are we seeing our traditional stories? I don't see enough. I'm not privy to enough. And filming Barumbi Kids was important. I was so lucky to do it. We were in COVID. I had a 0 day, we called it a donut day here, but there was no COVID cases. My agent called and said, "You're going to Catherine, you're going to shoot this series." And I was like, "What?" She said, "You're the person is available to go and do it." Somebody else was already cast in the role, and they said that they were locked down in Queensland, and so they couldn't come across to Northern Territory, and I was flown there to do it. And I remember arriving in Darwin at midnight, going to bed at 3 o'clock, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 7 a.m. and drove down to Catherine with somebody else in the car, and when I was on set 24 hours later. And the story is driven by the kids, so I was very much like a supporting role of playing the father of a white girl that was going to school with an Aboriginal boy, and we lived on country. And to see these kids live their true lives on the land, and we're all shooting this as we're all actors, but we got to play on the land. We got to play, and we're invited into areas in the backdrops of our incredible country. And I was locked down for 2 years, so you can imagine going to this open red dirt space. I was like, what is this? It was warm, it was beautiful, but it was incredible to see the innocence and the play within these kids. Even the kids from community, they have a thing called Cracker Night. So it happens once a year in the Northern Territory, that anyone can go and buy fireworks and let it off. And just the joy of letting off fireworks. It's completely dangerous. It's like OH&S, we've never happened in any other state. There's always fires, there's always something going on, but it brought joy to the community. And I just remember forgetting their faces and what that brought. But definitely we need to see more stories and more education and money going into our communities abroad, outside of our major cities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the great things about after COVID and stuff was seeing theatre get back in action again, particularly here in Melbourne when we were really badly locked down, and to see all these shows. And I think something that I noticed was how much joy it was bringing people, and I think it was something that maybe I didn't realise since after the lockdowns and stuff. I was wow, I'm really feeling something that maybe I didn't before, and I think it was something different to behold, I think.
The entertainment is what everybody turns to when they're if something's gone wrong. We all through the Depression, through the early 1900s, people turned to theatre. You saw it on Broadway, you can see it here. That now it's television. We turn the television on. It's our escape. It's what we turn on to music to make us feel better. We turn on something to evoke an emotion. And live theatre is just incredible to be able to just invoke those emotions in different ways, in different mediums, and different scales. There's an amateur theatre company that will run a show that they've been doing, or there's the professional commercial shows that are happening in the city. They all have a purpose and something that we all draw from. And you know, we're lucky that we, in this country, that we have what we have. But I think it's underestimated what it brings to the people of this.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh, I'm not going to see a musical, or I'm not going to, you know, we don't need entertainment, we don't need Australian stuff. And it's like, yeah, you turn on the television and you watch your Australian shows and you do all these things. So how much money is it bringing to the economy? How much employment is it bringing to everyone? Like, you go and see a show, and it's not just the people on stage that are being paid. It's everything that happens around it, like those four walls, the people, the companies, the time before it even gets to that point on stage, before an audience member walks in, you know, the usher helping you, putting you on the seat. There are people that are employed, and it's so important that the government recognises that this is where the money should go. And so when we say we've been unemployed for 12 months because we haven't had our chance to get back into a show, or there's a different loop, like understanding that it's not that we need to go and find a job that's, you know, somewhere else. This is our profession. I've been doing it for 20 years professionally. It's not now that I'm, like, you know, bludging off the doll kind of thing, but like there should be some kind of support for the arts. More money invested into workshops, into creating stories from different avenues, you know, so that we all go, okay, why are we pushing out 18, 20 people a year from these institutions if they've got nowhere to go?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What is the point? I guess it comes down to us being creative, always creating something, like a new podcast, like a new play, a workshop, doing a show like a song cycle, or just fun songs that you want to sing. Yeah, so important. I think we just need to be recognised more in this industry.
Absolutely.
Sport's a huge thing. I get it. It brings so much money into the economy.
Yeah.
I get it. But like, look how much money the arts is bringing in across the world. But yeah, not just in Australia alone. In every major city, there is something that people will go to, and it is art.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, especially since we were the first to shut down and the last to be brought back up during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the way how you explained it to me was absolutely beautiful and absolutely spot on. And I know you probably answered this for me, but I also just want to like say, if there was people out there who are listening and watching right now who want to pick up acting, performing, whatever as this industry, but are from different backgrounds or may not be able to afford master classes, or trying to start it out in schools or university, what would you say to them if they had any boundaries, or they just really want to keep doing it?
Yeah, look, I can't. It's hard. That's a really like complex question, because I'm really lucky that I'm in the position that I am, and I've been able to do a lot of things. Band together as a community. So like, if we have boundaries already, okay, what's the hurdle? And a lot of people say it's money, right? We don't have enough money to do it. Fine. Like, I totally understand. To go to do a workshop to pay $350 or $1,000 to go and do a workshop for 6 weeks. It's like, but it's someone else's, like, they're the best director or they're the best. But we all don't have $1,000 just to drop on everything that we do. Right? It's very, very hard. So maybe band together and say, okay, what do we do once a week where we get together and we read a play. We get together and we go, okay, like a book club. Like, we're going to choose Annie the musical. I'm just saying, over last night, you know, let's everyone read Annie. We're going to come to next week and we're going to just listen to the album. We're going to read through the script. Then we're going to say, right, would I be right for Annie? You know, like, what's this story? It's probably a terrible example because it's full of kids. But like, pick something within your community and your area and say, right, bunch of friends, do it on Zoom. Like, we learned that we could do so much if it's just connection. And it doesn't have to be about making something, but at least having something to go to each week might create something. You never know. You know, and it's free. You guys found this space, you just ask the question, can we use your space for an hour? Can we all come together? Can we put on a backing track from YouTube? And can we all sing the song?
Yeah.
You know, it's as simple as that. You could do it at home if you don't have access to anything else other than what you're doing at home. Deep dive into like your favourite director, your writer, or something that you love that's just resonated with you. And just go on a bit of a train with that. Start singing some of the songs with the albums. Like, I learned how to sing by putting on an album and just singing with it. And that's kind of I just copied that person singing. Then I get singing lessons eventually, but you know, it's kind of, I think there's enough resources out there online that we can definitely attach to. But then I think find your people.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a remote community or you're in an area where like I can't afford it. Okay, what is it that they're doing? Right, they're reading plays, they're going over scenes. Ask someone for a scene. Can you give me a scene that you've worked on? Email the person that's probably doing the course or an actor that you like. Just drop a DM like in one of their socials and say, hey, like I love your work. Could you give me a scene from that show, or could you give me something just to play with? Get in front of the camera and just like you and a mate, just put something down on tape. It doesn't have to be good because you're not sending it anywhere, but you're just playing. Because that's all that acting is playing and having fun, like having conversations with people. And sometimes we sing about it, and sometimes we talk about it, or it's just a straight, straight dialogue. Then we just do the dialogue. Like, so yeah, tap into things that you can access, and there is so much to access. I think. Yeah. And then save your money. So like the times where you go, okay, it's going to take me a year or two to get there, but I'm going to go on in a year's time. I'm going to have X amount of lessons with this person. I know it's going to cost me this much. So if I need $500 and it's going to take me a year, well, sometimes we've just got to work hard for our cash, and we'll do that. Save it, and then email that person. Say, in a year's time, I'm coming to work with you. And they'll be like, okay, sure. But you're like, no, like this is my promise to myself and to you. I want to have like 10 lessons with you. I've got $500 going to make it. I'll see you next year. Yeah. Like how great, like because then you've given yourself a goal. We can make money. We can go out there and clean cut. Like we're getting into a different topic, but like there's so many different ways I think that I've found, even being in the profession and being employed, unemployed, I've made my way through by learning things that I love to do, by doing the simplest of things. And that is, attending other workshops, learning from these people, then taking a workshop myself, and then giving the gifts back that I've learned. So we can do it as a community. We can band together. Come and be on my podcast because I want to have a chat. Like this is the best way to learn things from other people. I can learn from you guys as much as you can learn from having a conversation with me. Yeah. Knowing where you're at, knowing what people need, and if this is what gives people inspiration or knowledge or education, then watching, then great. Like that's my service. Yeah. For each other as a community, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, Stephen. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it, and I just want to say on a personal level, thanks for all the years where we've known each other for a while now, and every time I've messaged you, you've been nothing but supportive and very kind, and I just want to say thank you so much, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really nice to meet you. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Oh yeah.